If you have skin conditions, hair loss, or liver issues, this is the herb for you. Bhringaraj is a bitter liver restorative and calming anti-inflammatory. It's a blood cell builder that restores brightness to the skin, and it rebuilds hair and improves learning. So let's check it out. There's a picture of it. As you can see, it's in the aster family, Asteraceae. Aster means star, and you can see this is almost looks like it grows like a weed, and nice bright fresh color here, um, found by the roadsides all over India and really all over the world, many places. It's similar in taste to black tea, the harvested parts, and has a kind of blackish look. It protects the liver like the Ayurvedic herb Guduchi, but Bhringaraj is also a blood tonic, helping build blood cells. It is a blood tonic like stinging nettles, but but works by a different mechanism. It stimulates cell development in the bone marrow instead of simply supplying minerals like nettles does. Bhringaraj is a bitter diuretic. It's kind of like goldenrod. If you've ever had goldenrod, you know it's a warming, pungent, bitter, and diuretic. But Bhringaraj is a bit cooler and a bit less pungent than goldenrod. Still pungent, still a little warm, but much less than goldenrod. It is, I think of it as a bright herb like amalaki, creating brightness, but it's not sour like amalaki. It's bright like turmeric, but much less hot. And where turmeric only invigorates the blood, Bhringaraj builds the blood. You could also say Bhringaraj is like mangista in that it is a bitter lymphatic cleanser. Mangista is more of a bitter lymphatic cleanser, whereas Bhringaraj improves the blood by being a bitter liver tonic and stimulating the marrow. So similar effects as some of these herbs, but with slight nuances and different mechanisms. Okay, Bhringaraj means bee ruler. Right? Think about the Maharajas of India. Raja means king, and Maharaja means great king. So here we have the Bhringaraja, which is the king of the bees. And Bhringa means bee, and honeybees love Bhringaraj. It's also called Kesa Raja. Kesa means long hair. So the king of long hair. And that talks or speaks to the use of this herb for hair growth. One thing I want to mention is that sometimes you'll see it without this A, the spelling without this sort of middle A here. Bhringaraja. Sometimes it's just spelled Bhringraja. Anyway, as I mentioned, it's in the Asteraceae family, which is the same as a daisy. It kind of looks like a daisy. You can see here this is a composite with these adapted petals on the edge that sort of stick out, but then many, many little flowers in the center. You can see that each one of these, like a dandelion, is a little tiny flower, and then around the edge, these long petals that make it look like one flower is actually, 30 flowers there. Okay? So aster means star, Asteraceae, compositae, family. Aca is the standard modern suffix for plant family names, in taxonomy. All right, the botanical name is Eclipta alba. Alba we know means white, as in albino, right? Eclipta means deficient in Greek, and that's because it is deficient of the pappus. Here's a dandelion that has gone to seed, and you can see the seed part is just this little end right here, and then the rest is this fluffy thing that carries the seed in the wind. Well, Bhringaraj doesn't have that. That fluffy thing is called pappus, and many plants have it, but Bhringaraj does not, and that's why it's the deficient white flower, or the Eclipta alba flower. Other common names in other languages are here. I'll just mention that it's called herb of the ditch, or yerba de tago, or tajo. and and that's due to where it's found. It's found in ditches. All right. Ayurveda makes use of the entire plants for hair growth, maintaining dark hair, luxurious dark hair. For heat conditions of the head in general, this herb has an affinity for the head. So blurred vision, vertigo, anything that might have pitta or pitta rukta, pitta in the blood, heat in the blood as an underlying cause, this herb may help. And also for liver and skin disorders. And TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, uses it similarly, that it cools the blood, nourishes the liver, and nourishes kidney yin. So, in addition to having protecting the nephrons of the kidney and being a general anti-inflammatory, Bhringaraj nourishes kidney yin in other ways as well. What is kidney yin? We'll talk about that later in when we get to Bhringaraj's use in a hair as a hair tonic. All right, it's bitter, pungent, and sweet. Although I have to say its pungency is quite mild, and its sweetness, I can't even taste that. But textbooks listed as sweet and bitter, kind of like the same level of bitterness as black tea. Not very bitter. It's cool, dry, and light. And really, this is up for grabs. Hot or cold or neutral. It's I think of it as just a mildly warming, right? So I could update this and say it's mildly warming. But why then do I have it listed as cool? Because of its bitter action on the liver, could end up being a bit cool, and there's just controversy around that with this herb. So when there's controversy around the heat or temperature of an herb, I just put it as neutral. I mean, for practical purposes, this is not going to create too much heat, and it's not going to make you too cold. So clinically, in the end, we don't need to split hairs. We can just say it's neutral. Sebastian Pohl lists it as mainly Pitta Vata reducing and a Pitta Rasayana, but Khalsa lists it as Pitta aggravating in excess. And I'm going to say, well, of course, if you take too much of a bitter, ultimately it is going to drain the liver too much and could be aggravating to pitta. I mean, anything could be aggravated to pitta if you take enough of it. But I'm going to go with Pohl on this one. It seems that it is more of a pitta rasayana, and unless you're doing something intense with it, it's just not that pitta aggravating. The ancient texts say it is a hot pungent, but I don't know. Maybe the plants change. Maybe our bodies have changed. Who knows? Modern texts, many say it's cooling. Like I said, if there's a lot of controversy around a particular herb, it's usually one of two cases. One, they're splitting hairs, and you might as well just say it doesn't matter. Or sometimes it's heating in one part of the body and cooling in another part. We have to be open to that possibility, and then it just depends on what people are focusing on in a particular era that determines its temperature profile, their perspective. Yeah. Okay. All right. So it's found both wild and cultivated, commonly cultivated today because the wild herb was over harvested. It due to popularity. It is a water-loving herb, and it likes regular, evenly distributed rain. It even grows in marshy lands, damp roadsides, hedges. That's why it's yerba de Tahoe, the herb of the ditch, because in the ditch, things are a little bit more damp and watery. And you can see this looks like a plant that would be a bit crunchy. This bright crunchiness makes me think, oh, it's got to have a lot of water in it. Be careful where you get it from because it does absorb toxins from the environment. Like if you're picking it from a roadside ditch, you're getting not only the medicinal value of the herb, but some gasoline and oil as well. So just don't pick it from polluted environments. Source from good suppliers. Yeah, it likes loamy soil, red loamy soil, rich in organic matter. It's pretty hardy. Native to Asia, specifically India, Thailand, China, but it's just well distributed worldwide these days. Here's a botanical drawing of this, although this doesn't seem like a very high quality botanical drawing. There you can see again without the pappus. And it's a thin, sort of shredded appearance. It just doesn't quite look like a building herb, right? Um, there we see it again. Sharp, pointy leaves with clearly defined veins. To me, it just looks somewhat bright and crunchy, a little dry and rough as well. So crunchy, dry, rough, bright. It doesn't make you think of an herb that's going to be strongly building at first glance, but it is a blood tonic and does help stimulate the production of blood cells. So we can't always judge the book by its cover, but it just looks thin, sharp, a little bit dry, but then thick veins make it look crunchy to me. Okay, little rough hairs on it. That to me just makes me think it's easy to imagine that this is a scraping herb when you see those little hairs. Root. There's the dried parts. You can see here they're using the whole plant. The Bhringaraj that I have looks darker than this powder. All right, so this is a Pitta Vata pacifying. I think of this as a Pitta Vata and Kapha pacifying, a tridoshic herb that, like somewhat of a hot, damp climate. So there you go, Bhringaraj, an important blood tonic, important bitter liver clearing herb. It's calming and helps you be more resilient to stress, and it's an anti-inflammatory. Let's get into some of its properties and how to use it.